Just 30 miles or so to the east of the cliffs behind me lies a village that was lost to the sea. Graffiti that's actually embraced by the community. A pier that has survived 2 world wars. Blown up by its own government. A town that Britain's greatest ever leader did not enjoy. And a silhouette sunset that is up there with the best sunsets in the UK. In today's video, God, I'm an idiot sometimes, we will be riding to where the hell is this Churchill? And doing some exploring. Let's go see if this Banksy's still here. Out there lies the lost village. We'll find out, won't we? That is gorgeous. Awesome. We've landed on the pier. I tried, could easily be destroyed. He twisted my fucking ankle. Welcome to Cromer. That ride up here was chilly. Just walking back to the sign, I think I noticed something on it. Low tide isn't until 8:15. Bit of exploring, go looking for the Banksy, see if it's actually still there. God, that's a nice view that way. So let's go see what this sign says. Yeah. Welcome to Cromer, gem of the Norfolk Coast. Gem of the Norfolk Coast. Is that not a bit arrogant, calling yourself the gem? Cromer, there is no mention of Cromer in the Doomsday Book. Word is derived as Cromer. Mere is an Old English word for a body of water, like a lake or a pond. Hence in the Lake District, Windermere, Buttermere, Grassmere. Crowmere would have been the mere where the crows are. There's no mention of it in the Doomsday Book because it didn't exist. The original settlement was a place called Shipden, or at least its modern day pronunciation, Shipden. Back in the times of Old English, it would have been sheepdenner, or sheepden. Sheep dinner, which didn't have anything to do with ships. Den, or dinner, meant meadow or valley. So the sheep meadow or valley, and that was located about 1/4 of a mile off the coast of where Cromer is now. And that was recorded in the Doomsday Book. Cromer isn't even mentioned until the 13th century when it's discovered in somebody's will, I think, as the Cromer. Shipden was lost to the sea. Norfolk's very own Atlantis. This field, at some point during the summer, will be absolutely full of cars, and it will also have a fairground on it. Here you go, look, Shipden Avenue. Out there lies the lost village, Norfolk Atlantis. I have got my drone with me, but I think it's a little bit too windy. I was going to fly it out and see if we can see any shadows or anything for the lost village of Shipden. But I think we'll have to give that a miss. I will go looking for the Banksy, so stay tuned. But first up is the pier. Okay, so the pier is probably a good place to start if you've not been to Cromer. And there's been a pier or a landing jetty on this site for centuries, but this current pier dates to 1901. That view over there is absolutely stunning. Cop a load of this. Not bad. As well as being the big dramatic finale to the end of the Alan Partridge film, Alpha Papa, when Alan gets shot and Michael jumps over the side of the pier. Oh shit! In the Second World War, the government blew up the midsection of the pier intentionally. They thought, with good reason, Germans were going to come and invade the country via the east of England. And if you look on a map, it would be the most strategic invasion point. So they took out the midsection of the pier. They also thought that it would be possible to land a small aircraft in the midsection. You probably could if you removed everything, but I'm still skeptical. Removing the midsection of the pier created a bit of a problem when the lifeboat station is situated at the end of the pier. So they bridged across the midsection with timbers, enabling the lifeboat men to get out to the lifeboat station at the end when required. But should the Germans have come and tried to invade and use it as a landing point, it could easily be destroyed. Now, there's been a lifeboat station based at the end of the pier since 1920. Before that, it was on the beach. There is still one on the beach. When it transferred from the beach to the end of the pier, coxswain of Cromer Lifeboat Station was Henry Blogg. Henry Blogg is a very famous lifeboatman. He, in fact, is the most decorated lifeboatman in the history of the RNLI. 3 RNLI gold medals, 4 silver medals, British Empire medal, and he was awarded the George Cross. One rescue mission, he rescued 44 men after several failed attempts. He was awarded the George Cross for rescues carried out during the Second World War. He served Cromer Lifeboat Station for 53 years and saved 873 lives. He even requested to carry on for 1 more year, even though he was 10 years past the standard retirement age of the era, just to make sure there was a smooth transition to a new coxswain after the war. You can go into the lifeboat station. During open hours, just make sure you make a small donation. So somewhere out there is the lost community of Shipden. And in 1888, a steamship ran aground on the old church steeple to Shipden, out there. And obviously that then presented a future hazard for other ships. So it was decided to blow it up with dynamite. Then you've got the Pavilion Theatre. And when the pier originally opened, the area where the theatre now is was just an open-air bandstand. 4 or 5 years after the pier opened, they added a roof cover to it. So a stand with open sides and a roof cover, a pavilion. When the bandstand was removed and an actual theatre was built in its place, named it the Pavilion. And it's been there ever since. It's actually one of only 5 pier end theatres left in the UK. I think Ken Dodd even went there. Just look at that. And this way is looking east. The Banksy is somewhere out there where there are, looks like a family walking their dog that you probably can't make out, which I'm going to have a look at later. Now overlooking the pier, that red brick building, is the Hotel de Paris. That hotel has been here since longer than the pier has. Well, longer than this pier has. And its most famous guest, Oscar Wilde. Cromer Pier is celebrating 125 years this year. Let's go have a look at the structure underneath. Love exploring places on a Sunday evening when the days are long. There's no one ever about. Pier of the Year 2024. And now we're here underneath the pier. Right, so the original structure is iron, but there's repair sections up there that are galvanized steel. Steel is a far superior material to iron in every single way. Iron is brittle, steel is ductile. You can't really weld iron without it cracking, or you can weld it, but you need a specialist. Steel, much higher resistance to fatigue. Pier is subject to cyclical loading, so the waves hitting it, the wind hitting it, and footfall traffic on the deck. It's a load that comes and goes constantly, and steel is brilliant at resisting it. They did have steel back then, but it was way too expensive compared to these days. Don't you dare. Folklore has it if you come down here on a stormy winter's night, you can hear the haunting chimes of the church of the lost village of Shipden. And speaking of stormy nights, in December of 2013, this promenade got absolutely battered by a storm, because in December of 2013, the east coast of England experienced one of the highest storm surges it had experienced in 60 years.
Imminent threat to life along some of these coastlines here.
Waves came crashing over this sea defence, and with them came loads of debris from the sea, which went smashing through all of the stores and beach huts down at the other end. There's been storms since then, that's 2013, but that's the worst one on recent record, and by recent I mean sort of 50 years. And because there's been more since then, we now have... I've got no idea how this video is going. I've only got 25% left on the camera. Could be good, could be terrible. Either way, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like button, and please consider subscribing. These boulders, they're called newer rock armour defences, and they're strategically placed to dissipate wave energy before the sea hits the seawall, or in other areas, before the sea hits the cliff face. These ones down here, they were installed in 2024. There's cars coming down here. Those buildings up the top there were like B&Bs and stuff. My granddad told the people, drinking from his hip flask, would tell the people in the lounge of the B&B that he came here every year. Complete bollocks. That one's being done up. No doubt it'll be some sort of holiday rental building. I'm looking for this bloody Winston Churchill quote. It's meant to be in front of the pier. Right, maybe it's up there. Right, let's go have a look up there. Very nice evening tonight. You've got to be careful with seagulls. Sunday evening in May, 7 p.m. now. It's so quiet. The sun's slowly going down in the background. It's beautiful. Right, the Winston Churchill quote is not there either. Google says the Winston Churchill quote is on the pavement directly in front of the pier entrance. I'll try above me. What the bloody hell is this quote? It's not there. Yeah, there's no Winston Churchill quote on the floor up here either. Is there? Cromer is one of the few watering places where in the summer months you can from the same window see the sun rise out of the ocean at morning and the sun disappear in the glory of orange and scarlet in the evening. From Poppyland by Clement Scott. Now Clement Scott was a journalist from London that visited Cromer in 1883. And he wrote of the surrounding area around Cromer that it was the land of poppies and dubbed it Poppyland. And it was from then on that the Victorian tourism boom began. See, Winston Churchill visited here in 1885, which is 2 years after Clement termed it Poppyland. The railway arrived here in 1877. Well, according to Google, it's still there, but I can't find it. It looks like that pavement has been repaired multiple times. Maybe they had to remove it to do some repair work. But basically, Churchill's quote, when he was 10 years old, he wrote in his diary of Cromer, "I am not enjoying myself very much." That's it. For somewhere that is meant to be inscribed in the pavement in Cromer along the prom. And according to Google, it's in front of the pier. We're here, we've landed on the pier. That pier is beautiful though, isn't it? Just think how much history has come and gone in the 125 years that that pier has been there. Well, I think it's incredible anyway. Moving on. Now, at the top of that view is just fucking Jesus. Look at it, beautiful. When you're at the top of the prom, or at the end of the cliff road, you'll find this chip shop. And this chip shop is owned by a guy called Galton Blackiston. Now, Galton Blackiston owned and ran, or was head chef or something. Fire engine's just kicked off. At Morstan Hall. And Morstan Hall is a country hotel and restaurant near Blakeney along the Norfolk Coast. And it has had a Michelin star for like 25 years. He's credited with getting the Michelin star, and he owns that chip shop. They are really good chips. Now, I don't want to say if they're the best chips in Cromer or not, because there is a very, very good runner-up if they are. And I'd rather you decide for yourself. Look at these little shops like this. It's narrow streets. Feels like you've got history coming down on you from the sides. And then heading into the town, you come around a corner and be faced with that. And that is the Church of St. Peter and St. Paul. This is called the Church of St. Peter and St. Paul because before that church behind me was there was a smaller church dedicated to St. Paul. And the lost church, which was part of the community of Shipden, community that fell into the sea, was dedicated to St. Peter. So when they built that, they called it the Church of St. Peter and St. Paul. Also, Cromer seems a little bit done up to how I remember it as a child. I'm not sure if it's just me remembering it different. It definitely seems like it's had a lick of paint. There's the Wellington. That pub there is the pub that I watched David Beckham score that free kick against Greece in. The place went bloody mental. This is the other chip shop. It's been here since 1977, Mary Jane's, but it's more of a traditional feel to it than the other one. They're both really, really good. And on the other side of the road, you've got this car park, and on the site of this car park was a multi-purpose venue called the Olympia. And at the Olympia, on the 12th of April 1964, a certain Cilla performed. That doesn't sound like a big deal, particularly to the younger generations, but you have to remember, in 1964, Cilla was at the peak of her pop stardom. She had just a month or so earlier had a UK #1 hit. So for her to come to Cromer, it was a huge deal at the time. Once upon a time, in the 70s, holiday companies would charter a plane themselves and then sell the seats on that plane to the public. But before that, seaside towns like Cromer were still booming, and that's why they attracted acts like Cilla. It would be like, say, Ed Sheeran coming to a small town and performing in the local town hall. That's how big it was. These old fishing cottages are tiny, really, but they would have been built with the wage of a working class fisherman in mind. Back then, they served a purpose. They provided access to the beach, and they were affordable for the fishermen. They also look quite colourful and nice now, but back then they would have been very basic. They would have been overcrowded with large families. They'd have been cold most of the time. They would have been damp. The noise transfer would have been horrendous. But there you go, these days they're probably worth about £500,000 each. Right, down onto the beach, RNLI Museum. There's fishing boats down here, they're the crab fishing boats. Cromer crab. Oh my God, the sun's setting over there. Oh, that is gorgeous. Don't know if you'll get that. Time this well. Don't know if that looks like it's been closed down permanently or something. No. Cromer did actually start out life as a trading town. Fishing was secondary, but The problem was that Cromer existed because it was people relocating from the port of Shipden, which was lost to the sea. So there would have been a hesitancy to build another port in Cromer in case that one got lost to the sea as well. And by the Victorian era, bigger ships were being built. Cromer being open beach, it was impractical for the larger ships. There were more effective ports that already existed. Wells, look at these boats, it's crab fishing boats. Easy to winch in and out of the water from the beach. With the impracticality of being an open beach and it being more effective to send larger ships to well-established ports in Norfolk, Wells, got a very strong hull and a very shallow draft. Fishing became the primary industry and it became the driver of the local economy. And by the time the railways arrived, fishing had won in Cromer, particularly Cromer crab. People would get the railway to Cromer to come and try Cromer crab, and the railway enabled Cromer crab to be transported fresh down to Billingsgate Market in London to be sold on. It still is one of the biggest industries in Cromer. There is an annual festival, Cromer and Sheringham Crab and Lobster Festival. Right, let's go see if this Banksy's still here. It is. Just gone low tide, 8:15. I doubt it's still there, but we'll soon find out. The instructions say to go to the seawall at the end of the beach huts. Here are the beach huts. I did just read an article though that said that the Banksy had been covered up by the beach pebbles that had been washed up over it during a storm. Well, I think that that concrete section there might be the seawall it's meant to be on. Bit out of breath because I just legged it all the way down here. Sun's going down, I need to get back to the bike. What a waste of time. I'll just double check the seawall next to it. Okay. It's definitely not the seawall at the one next to the ones at the end of the beach huts, because that's all timber. Can't find the Winston Churchill quote, can't find the Banksy. But I did see an absolutely awesome, I found the Banksy. It's looking very sorry for itself. I can see it twisted my fucking ankle. That well hurt. So that's what it looks like in May 2026. See the outline of the shells and the hermits. So that's the sign that said luxury rentals only. It's the hermit with the shell, with the sign saying luxury rentals only, because he's got 3 empty shells spare. And there's the hermits without the shells, in need of them. But the one that's already got them, he's only giving them out to people that can afford them. Time to get back. I do hope my bike is still there. I realised when I was walking to the Banksy that I'd left the key in the ignition. I just filmed that entire video, the key to my bike in the ignition. God, I'm an idiot sometimes. There's the lifeboat station on the beach. I do remember the lifeboat station before the one on the end of the pier there. The one that's there now, I think that was built in the early part of the 2000s. Pier alone is a gem on the Norfolk coast, isn't it? I absolutely think Cromer is a gem of the Norfolk coast. It's absolutely beautiful. I've got memories of coming to Cromer since I was a child, fishing off the pier with my dad. I will say, in the 1990s when I was a kid, it felt a little bit more run down than it does now. I remember coming here one Sunday morning and we went into a local baker's to get breakfast, and the lady said that she'd been robbed. And she said that she got robbed regularly because there was a squat nearby full of drug addicts. I just couldn't even imagine a squat full of drug addicts in the town I've just walked around. So, make what you will about people buying second homes here and gentrification and stuff. All I'm saying is the town does feel a lot nicer walking around it than it did back then. That being said, I completely understand the frustration of people buying second homes, and the Banksy artwork reflects the frustration of people. You've got people, well, not people really, it's companies these days. They will buy up properties on the seafront and they will lease them out as holiday lets. The people that built the town, who worked in the town, they can't afford those holiday lets. They can't buy them as property to live in themselves because they're priced out of the market. Of course, I understand the frustration. All I know is Cromer is a beautiful town to come and visit, and I'm going to keep coming and visiting it. Cromer Pier will always hold a special place in my heart, always. Next time I come here, I will tell you why. But for now, my name is Kiddy. The channel is called Norfolk Kiddy, and if you love the Norfolk coast, please hit subscribe. The bike is still there.